Every other week, we're hosting a featured artist, and this time it's PT.
Yay!
In the real world, Beardy, you are a music producer as well as a musician. How did it all start?
It started in fourth grade. As a producer, no, but as musician, yes. Back in fourth grade, many moons ago, when we used to play with dinosaurs and sticks in the playground, we had the choice of choosing strings or band, and I decided I wanted to play the violin, mainly to torture my parents. And that's kind of when I started. I played violin through high school, and then in another band, they suckered me into playing the violin some in that. So that's kind of when it started.
So what was the evolution of that? How did you end up being...
A series of very bad decisions. I decided that I wanted to play in a band, and I put a band together in the early to mid 90s. And I played in that band for about 7 years. It did pretty well, and we got to travel all over the U.S. It was a lot of fun, and it taught me a lot of things. And then that sort of, after making several records with that band and then moving on into a couple other bands and doing those records, that made me want to get into music production and the recording side of things, mainly because there's no money in traveling across the country and playing at bars and clubs. So I figured I would get a real job and start making the records. I didn't see the future of music being where it is now. So, but yeah, that's kind of how I got into the production side of things. And once I moved into the production side of things, I sort of put the performance thing on hold and decided that I would just focus on sort of taking control of my life and the art that I was making. When you're in a band, you're sort of at the mercy of whoever the creative person is in that band. And you have to either go their direction or not. And I never felt really in control. So at least with production, I felt like I could be, and I could sort of guide the direction of my life musically more from that vantage point. But then I started a band called The Pearls, which brings us a little more to recent days. And I fell back in love. Like, I forgot how much I loved traveling and touring, and it was still very much in my blood. That sort of got me back into it. And that brings us sort of to current day. I'm in The Pearls, and I'm also in a band called Pride of the North Bank.
So we're going to rewind a bit, and we're going to tell the story again of how you started playing in SL. Do you want to tell that?
I'm still in therapy for that one, but I think it's okay to talk about. I have this friend who is an incredible nag. Yeah, her name's Rara Destiny. And she would invite friends over to her little property, and we would sit around a campfire and just in voice, right? We would just have voice open.
Yeah.
Like, we weren't even streaming at that point. And then people would share songs or poetry or like whatever. And I was like, well, shoot, maybe I'll play a song. And everyone just was like, what are you doing?
Well, to be fair, none of us knew that you were a musician or a music producer. Like, we didn't know that. And one day you just went, can I do one? We're like, yeah.
So what did I play? Wasn't it Johnny Cash?
Yeah, you busted out some Johnny Cash.
Yeah. So I played that, and literally at that point, I'd only been in bands as a side musician, what they call a utility player. And I was playing, mandolin, violin, tenor guitar, tenor banjo, harmonica, things like that. But I was never the guy that would sing the song from beginning to end. And as a matter of fact, my bandmates would encourage me not to sing because they were like, oh yeah, you probably shouldn't sing. Like, that's not really your strength. It's just best if you don't. And so I always was just like, I'm not going to sing. And so that was why when we were hanging out on your property, I was like, I don't know, maybe I'll sing this, because I just learned the song. And I literally didn't know any other songs from beginning to end. I think that was just the only one. And then you nagged me for months and months and months to play. Okay. And then I finally did.
I don't think that I nagged you. I think I lovingly encouraged you.
Well, it all depends on your perspective, really. But I appreciate it, and I love you for it. because pretty soon I learned 30 minutes of music and I was able to play that. And then I learned an hour's worth of music. And then anyone that has been to my shows in the last 3 years knows that I stopped at about 2 hours worth of music and haven't learned anything else since. But I need to learn some more. I'm terribly sorry about that. But it has been really good for me because it has allowed me to sing a bunch of other people's songs and kind of find my voice and learn what it does. And I've been able to really grow. And it has been such a help in real life because when I sing here once or twice a week, it really helps my live shows, So it's been good. I'm so thankful for SL Music. And it's really helped me have the confidence to lead a couple bands in real life.
Tell everybody about what's going on with the bands.
Mostly we've toured. In the States, we pretty much just stay West Coast. So if you're in Washington, Oregon, California, there's a really good chance you could come out and see us play. The Pearls right now are on a bit of a hiatus. I'm in a band called Pride of the North Bank, and that band is starting to travel more and more up and down the West Coast. And we've also done once to twice a year, we go to Europe. So if you're in Belgium or the Netherlands, we do 35 to 45 show tours once to twice a year there. And so we'll be back again in August through the first week of September. And I'd be happy to give you the list of shows if anyone's interested. Just hit me up afterwards if you are over that way. Or know anyone. Shoot, tell everyone you know. We'll have a beer. And they have the best beer in the world. And they really, really, really want to share it with you. Every show we'd go to, they'd be like, oh, you need to try this. You need to try this. Like we hadn't seen beer ever before in our lives. And so it was hard to fit on the airplane on the way home.
Well, that makes reference to a question I was going to ask you because I've known you for so long. I know your love of food. You always make that Homer Simpson sound. So if you could only eat 3 things for the rest of your life, what would they be?
Stop laughing. Pizza, number 1. Mm-hmm. Probably pad thai, right? Mm-hmm. Thai food and sushi.
Really? Burritos is not on that list.
Burritos is not on the list.
Wow.
That would be if you'd have said, give me 4 things you would eat for the rest of your life.
Well, no, you can only have 3. Wow. Okay.
Unless I were to roll the sushi up in a piece of pizza and call it a burrito.
All right, so if everyone sort of pays attention to the set out of the stage today, we've set it up to try and make Beardy feel as comfortable as possible because so it's got a very vintage feel. And if you look around, there's a few examples of taxidermy because Beardy has this weird fascination with dead animal heads being displayed in his studio. Do you want to talk about that?
First of all, I in no way encourage people to kill and stuff animals, but I did inherit a few pieces of taxidermy. When I was in junior high, a buddy of mine, his grandfather was a big game hunter, and there was a community center that they owned, and it was filled with these animal heads, and we would do sleepovers and sleep in this, and there were 2 that scared me so badly. One was a hyena because it had its like mouth open with like fangs and stuff, and it was super scary. And then the other one was a javelina, which is a pig with fangs, and it was scary. And so when they were getting rid of the community center, they needed a place for these animal heads to go. So I took the 2 scariest ones and hung them in my studio. Mm-hmm. And that's the story of the scary taxidermy.
Yeah. I bring it up because there was a point where Beardy had a few of our friends in his studio and they were writing music. And the only way that I could be there was on a laptop because I live in Australia. So they would put the laptop with me on Skype on the mixing desk. Mm-hmm. And then they'd all go outside to smoke and drink beer and leave me facing the scary stuffed animal heads. And I would be yelling from the laptop, someone come and get me. And you'd hear them in the hallway say someone has to go and carry Rara outside.
The good old days.
Mm-hmm. I was going to ask about Buck. So
yeah.
quite a few people who've been to your shows in SL will have heard Buck.
He's my imaginary friend.
No, he's real.
Oh, he's real.
How did you meet him?
We grew up together.
Really?
We went to rival high schools. And we grew up in the same church.
Buck went to church?
I know, right? Wait a second. Why aren't you surprised that... Oh, clearly PT went to church. In patent leather shoes and a Speedo.
I mean, you know, I can kind of picture you in church. I cannot picture Buck getting through the door.
Yeah. So Buck is my bandmate in both of the bands, the Pearls and Pride of the North Bank. And he is also my songwriting partner for both those bands. I think we've probably written 50 songs together now.
And what is that process? Like, who does what in that?
A lot of times, Buck will get the ball rolling. He'll get really, really stoned. And then he will just sort of stream of consciousness things. And then he passes all of those things to me, and I throw out like 90% of it. And then I will finish all the songs by writing additional verses or choruses or things like that. And by our powers combined, we have music. A lot of those songs, the funny thing about what he and I write together is that we end up writing all these old-timey sounding songs. I'll play some of those for you guys later. But they come out like these classic 20s, 30s sort of swing and jump and Western swing, kind of old dance hall music. And neither of us grew up playing that kind of music. But for some reason, when we get together, we write songs for nursing homes.
Mika wants to know, if you could only listen to one song for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh, anything by Uncle Kracker. No, that's not true. One song, probably. Oh man, but you know what? That's the worst question, Minka. That's the worst question. I love you, but like, it's not. What's the? If you could only listen to one band or one album, it's like one song.
All right, pick an album.
No, I'll pick a song. I'll say today, the song I would listen to is, I don't know, maybe Pictures of You by The Cure. I'll change my mind tomorrow.
You're not allowed to.
Oh, man. Now I'm never going to be able to listen to that song again.
No.
Because I'll think of it as being like me on a desert island with my volleyball Wilson
And
listening
Speedo.
to Pictures of You. Yes, and patent leather shoes and a Speedo.
And a beer.
And a beer. Or at least a blue ribbon.
And sushi pizza.
Gross.
So gross.
It's so gross. Oh, do I have to stand up and do
You can
this?
sit there and play if you want to.
Do whatever you want to do.
I'll stand.
Thank you so much, Beauty Face.
Anytime. Okay,
Oh,
let's
yeah.
play some music. Love you too.
Cool.